I bought this 1986 Porsche 928S knowing it needed a lot of work, and considering the smell of the gas, I felt like the fuel system would be a good place to start. I disconnected the hose here and I attempted to pump the fuel out, but to no one's surprise, the fuel pump was faulty. The good news is it gave me an opportunity to clear all those lines with some compressed air. To drain the fuel, I disconnected the fuel line from the bottom of the tank. I know you can't smell it, but it's gross. Yeah, I don't think anything was coming out of that. And seeing what remained of that barbed fitting should have been a clue for what was about to come next. The filter was completely seized to the threaded insert, and when I tried to remove the filter, both came out. If I were attempting this again, I would have tightened a hose clamp around the neck where the threaded insert is installed to give me the best chance of removing the filter without the threaded insert coming with it. There is a $200 fuel tank repair sleeve for just this issue. I'll put a link in the description. But since I'm on a budget and I managed to separate the filter from the threaded insert, and I even found a bearing press tool that fit it perfectly, I figured I could heat set it back in place and I would save $200 and I could get it done immediately. I found a bearing driver, the exact perfect size to hold on to this. So I'm just gonna heat it up and shove it in. You know what else also happened immediately? A leak. Well, as you can see from the puddle, my gas tank fix didn't work. At this point, I had to remove the tank, and looking at it now, I may have cross-threaded the filter. Or maybe the insert was just too far gone and it was never going to work. Either way, I would have had a better chance if I'd have just removed the tank from the car in the first place. Not to mention, it would have been way easier to clean. With the tank out of the car and the car already on jack stands, it was a no-brainer to pressure wash the undercarriage. And of course, with the wheels off, I was tempted to go ahead and do the brakes, but this is exactly how projects snowball and end up unfinished. So first we run, then we stop. I was still determined that I could fix the tank for less than that $200 repair sleeve, so naturally I went to the plumbing aisle, and as it turns out, 1.25" NPT pipe fitting is basically the perfect size. I used these plastic welding rods to test the temperature as I heated the fitting, that way I knew exactly when it was the right temperature. Then I did my best to insert it straight, and when I was done, I tightened the hose clamp around it and let it cool. I sealed the other fittings with a fuel-safe sealant. I'll put a link to the description in that as well. And I let everything dry for 72 hours just to be sure. Hey, what's that yellow thing? Well, that's the MAP gas. No, the other one. Oh, you mean that? Don't worry, there's a video coming for that soon. Getting the tank out was harder than expected. So with it still out, I filled the tank half full of water and let it sit for a while. And with no signs of a leak, I drained it and let it dry thoroughly before reinstalling it into the car and testing it with gas. Pretty full of water, not a single drop. Getting the tank back in was even harder than getting it out. I used a floor jack to get it in place, then a seat clamp to hold it while I adjusted the strap to get it fit just right. This would have been a lot easier with a second set of hands, so I recommend being nice to people and maybe a friend will help you out. Repairs aren't always going to be successful, but the older the project, the harder it is to find replacement parts, and they don't make them like they used to can certainly apply to some new parts. The foam padding on the tank strap was falling apart, so I found some cheap 1-inch foam tape on Amazon. The fuel level sending unit was super rusty, so as a temporary fix, I cut it apart just so I could have a cap, but eventually I will replace it with fuel level sending units are starting at $634. Yeah, so as I was saying, I will learn how to use the tripometer as a fuel gauge. Time will tell if my plumbing fitting fix will last, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that the fuel tank repair sleeve is going to work for every single failure either. I plan to make a series of videos as I continue to repair this car, so I will keep you posted if there are any leaks in the future. Unfortunately, it's still only running on starter fluid, so I think I'm gonna have to start diving into those injectors next, but that will have to wait for the next video. If you like the t-shirt I'm wearing, it's based off the 1973 Kawasaki H1 that I converted to a Scrambler in a previous video. It's also available on Zazzle, so I'll put a link in the description. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.